Good morning again. My name is Angelica Brownlee, but everybody calls me Jelly. I'm 18 years old and I'm an early high school graduate, which is a major accomplishment given that nobody in my family has graduated from high school. Thank you. I was born with meth in my system, so I was taken away from my parents. Both my parents were addicted to drugs. However, my dad was able to get me back before I turned one. My dad and I were together, but we struggled, living in motels and in homeless shelters. When I was about 2 years old, my dad finally got a stable job and met my stepmother. I thought my stepmother was my real mother until I was 8. And then my real mother came back in our life, and I wanted to know her, so my dad agreed to let her visit me. And this decision caused a lot of chaos in my life and in my family. My stepmother and dad fought all the time, and my stepmother would start to resent me. She mentally and verbally abused me. I remember as a kid, my stepmom would allow her kids in her room and would lock me out. I would sit by the door and ask to come in, but she wouldn't let me in. There was constant turmoil in my family. I always felt alone, like I had nobody. I was moved from different family members from the age of 12 till I was 16. For most of my childhood, I felt like I was sitting on the outside, waiting to be let in. When I was 13, my dad brought me to my birth mom's house for what I thought was a visit, but instead he dropped me off with a credit card and he said he would put money on it for me every 2 weeks and left me there. Life became real for me at this moment. My mom was still doing drugs and she was very abusive to me. I felt like we switched roles. I became the parent. I had to make sure my little brother was fed, clean, and ready for school, things she should have done as our mother. Shortly after I turned 16, I was living with my grandmother, who also had a drug addiction, which made her love me one day and hate me the next. One day, she locked me out the house. I had finally had it with this lifestyle. I didn't care about wanting to be loved anymore. I just wanted it all to stop. I called the police on my grandma, who had locked me out the house. The police came and told her she could not kick me out, and if they did, they would take her in because she was my guardian, so she couldn't kick me out. The police gave me a number to a domestic violence center called The Safe Place. I was nervous to call because I was very scared of foster care. Both my mother and stepmother were in foster care, and they told me about what happened to them. They would tell me that if I ever told anyone about my life at home, I would end up being abused in foster care, worse than any abuse I had already experienced. Needless to say, I was terrified of foster care. On top of that, I was conflicted about leaving my little brother behind, but I knew I had to do something before I could help him. I called them the next day, and they told me to pack my bags for the weekend. My heart sank when they said the weekend. Only the weekend I didn't want to go back, but my parents didn't try to get me back. I was then turned over to the CPS and put into a foster home. When no one showed up for me at the CPS hearing, I was placed in foster care permanently. I ended up moving 3 times my first year and then ended up at a group home. It was kind of weird. I was nervous because of what my parents told me, but they were wrong. The longer I stayed there, I felt as if it was a family. They were right about one thing. It was different. It was like having a family for the first time. My life really changed when I walked into the Foster Dream office. My group home went every Thursday to participate in their Get Set program. I didn't really want to go. The other girls in my group home said it was fun and you get free food. So I said, why not? I love to eat, so why not? The first day I walked in there, I could feel the love from Tamara, the program director. She started off excitedly talking about goal setting, which made me excited too. We did a worksheet on setting goals, and I remember reading it out loud, saying, I just want to be successful. And those words have driven me, and those words stuck with me, those words drive me, and that's what that's what this program does. They have made me driven through their passion and caring at a time when I had almost given up. So when I'm asked, what has Foster Dream given you, I say a whole bunch of mamas. And I see a lot of them here today, and I love you guys. Because from what I understand, that's what moms do. They're there for you. I had gotten to a point in my life where I just wanted to sit outside the door. I was tired of knocking and no one opening, but this program opened the door and let me in with open arms. Besides just giving me moral support, Foster Dream has helped me with basic needs, things like you learn from your family, like responsibility, confidence. Skills like how to apply for a job, how to grocery shop, or budgeting. A lot of basic life skills that I need to live up to the high standards I have set for myself. One of the biggest things is that it's okay to make mistakes, as long as you learn from them and don't make them again. I also learned that I'm not the only one who has difficulties in my life, and it feels good to help others. At the Winter Wonderland, I saw so many children picking up toys in the magical winter warehouse, and I realized I was part of something bigger than myself. Right before my 18th birthday, I got my own apartment, but I was really not prepared to be on my own. But this time I knew I wasn't alone. I had Tamara and Volunteers of America. They supported me through the whole transition process, from understanding all the paperwork to physically helping me move my stuff multiple times. It's an amazing feeling to know you can call someone, they will actually show up and be there for you. Although this transition to living on my own as a high school senior was hard, these past years at school has been the most rewarding. I took part in a welding course at Armiel High School. I was also in a leadership class, and I was one of 6 leaders at my satellite program in my high school. I was in charge of HAM, History, Art, and Media. Even though I had a few ups and downs, through it all, I realized I can do whatever I wanted if I put my mind to it. With hard work, anything is possible. I will be starting Diablo Valley Community College in the fall to get my AA degree and then transfer to a 4-year college. After that, to become a medical social worker. I decided to pursue this career because I always wanted to be in the medical field and always wanted to help people. Some may say putting myself in foster care at the age of 16 is unusual. Making this decision was hard. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do, to leave my siblings. I made a decision so I can stop the cycle of abuse I was in and to have a better life for my future family. I want to be the one to break the cycle of not finishing school and actually going to college. Today, because of Volunteers of America, I'm not afraid, I'm not alone, and all the doors are open for me. Thank you.